A university campus turned into a battleground between protesters and riot police. Barricades set up and firebombs thrown as crowds grew in response to calls on social media for support. This conflict at Chinese University is just one of many throughout the day. Earlier, tear gas was fired at the City University as students and protesters blocked roads as part of what's being called a general strike. The unrest proving too much for this Taiwanese student.
My parents are like, oh, this is too serious, so I'm heading to the airport now.
For a second day in a row, office workers rallied on the streets of the city's financial center. They spent their lunchtime chanting protest slogans, all part of the new strategy of the weekday public disobedience movement. This protest comes just hours after Hong Kong's chief executive said the government was trying to minimize disruptions to daily life. Instead, office workers and people who don't normally take part in the movement have brought Hong Kong's financial center to a standstill.
In the face of protesters' attempts to stop people from going to work and school through paralysing Hong Kong, this is a very selfish act. But people from different sectors in society are holding fast to their positions and refuse to concede to violence or other radical actions. I hereby express my gratitude to those who are still going to work and school today.
Her calls for a return to normality ignored as protesters filled the streets, surrounded by multinational offices, luxury shops, banks, and the stock exchange.
Because we're fighting for the democracy for Hong Kong, fighting for freedom for Hong Kong.
As the lunchtime crowds went back to work, the streets were taken over by the more radical protesters. They were soon dispersed by riot police firing rounds of tear gas and making arrests. But back at the Chinese University, police attempts to make the students leave with tear gas, water cannon and force instead inflamed the protesters.
I feel like education, we can always get it, we can get it any time, but this war is, you can only have it once and right now, and if we lose this war, we're going to belong to China and there's no turning back.
And with each day, that war appears to escalate.